Welcome back, you guys. I recently did a video on depression that kind of resonated with some people, and they encouraged me to make some more videos. And I was trying to think about what I could do to help other people with that, and what I've done is come up with the 25 things that have basically helped me with depression. And I feel like I've basically climbed out of the hole. And I would love to share those things with you. So please keep this video going. I have taken quite a bit of time and wrote these down very thoughtfully over the last week, trying to think about everything that's helped me and what has changed and made an impact on my life. And I believe in you, and I believe that if you put these things into your life, and some of these things, that you're definitely going to pull out of your depression. If not, maybe you need to look into counseling and medication, but I'm pretty sure that if you do some of this stuff, you can definitely start pulling out. Now, before you do any of these 25 things, you have to understand one thing, that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. It's as simple as that. If you don't like what happened yesterday or last week or the whole last year, you need to change something in your daily routine. You've heard the saying that, the definition of crazy is doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result. It's true. If you don't change something in your daily routine, nothing will ever change. So you have to change something. Now, the first thing that I can recommend, and I tried to put these in order of priority, the best that I could. And you've heard this one before. I know it sucks. You don't want to hear it. It's physical activity. You need to get out and you need to get moving. If you can get exercising, running, jogging, backpacking, some type of weightlifting, some type of physical activity, it is scientifically proven to help you release anxiety, depression, stress, all those things. It releases dopamine and serotonin into the brain, the things that make you feel good. It will help you, I promise. Now, where it doesn't help people is they go out, they do a workout. I've even heard a very rare amount of people saying they felt worse. You need to make this a part of your life. This isn't some 30 or 90-day program. This is a rest of your life program. So when you start this physical activity regimen, you gotta keep going. You can't give up and just say, oh, I tried it for a week, it didn't work. No, this has to be part of your life. Now, I used to work for a gym about 10 or 15 years ago, and the general manager told me that, you know why that all programs are 30 to 90 days for weight loss or weight gain or whatever you're trying to do, muscle mass? It's because that's just enough time for you to figure out that you don't want to do it and quit and give up. So don't quit and give up. I guarantee you that one thing can really, really help. A lot of times when I'm feeling down, really depressed, I'll just start working out. And definitely, when I'm done, I do feel better. I do feel less stressed, and I feel more proud of myself. The weight loss that you're going to get from that, the muscle gain that you're going to get from that, it's all going to help your confidence and boost your self-esteem, and it's going to cause that depression to just melt away. So please, if there's one thing you listen to in this, out of these 25 things, let this be it. Now, I also wanted to make this a little bit shorter of a video, but I didn't want to because I know when I was hurting, I'd listen to anybody for hours if they were giving me things that I could apply to my life to help the depression go away. And I think there's a lot of people, me included, that when you go on and you're researching these things, that you kind of are looking for one thing in particular that you hear that you're like, oh, that's it. That's what I'm not doing. That's what's going to change my life. And it doesn't work like that. It is a combination of a lot of things that will pull you out of depression. It's never, ever going to be just one thing. So now that we've gotten physical activity out of the way, let's go on to the two number thing. Now, this one's going to be, again, one of the ones you don't want to hear. I've got a whole bunch of stuff you've never heard before, I guarantee you. But this next one is going to be watching your diet. It is so crucially important to you pulling out of depression. Let's talk about why. Now, this sword is double-edged. You have two different spectrums of depression in eating and diet. You have the spectrum that's overeating, and they're compensating and trying to make themselves happy with food, and then you have the spectrum that I was in, where you're not eating at all, and you're never hungry. Now, both of those things will set you back in your goals of trying to not be depressed. If you're eating too much, your body's constantly going to be lethargic and weighed down because it's not getting the nutrients that it needs. You're probably eating too many sweets, which are, again, pulling your body down. Your body's having to take more time to digest those foods, and it's just making you have less energy overall. When you have to process food, your body does pull energy from your reserves. That's why you hear a lot of people eating fruits, vegetables, and a lean diet. They've got more energy. The body has to process the food less when it's higher quality food. Crappy food doesn't have enzymes in it that digest quickly. If you eat foods that are rich in enzymes, you often will digest the food quicker. There's like programs built into the food, basically, that will help your body process that food. So if you're processing food quicker, you're going to have more energy in the end. Now the flip side, for me, I was the one that wasn't eating. I was maybe eating a meal a day when I was ultimately depressed. And for someone like that, you're not getting enough nutrients, and you're not getting enough energy to be motivated, to get out of bed. You're constantly couch locked. It's not a good feeling. So if you have a poor diet, if you're not eating enough, if you're eating too much, it's setting you back on your motivational goals. Really, you got to watch the diet, and I promise you, you will get more energy and you will be able to get stuff done. Now, the next one is going to be start with small things. This sounds silly, but clean your room. Oftentimes when you're depressed, you got a lot of dirty stuff. Your car might be dirty, your room might be dirty, the whole house might be dirty, the bathroom's probably a mess, your clothes are laying on the floor. Just clean your room. And once you get your room clean, you'll realize, you know what? That wasn't too bad. I think I can do something else. So then you go out and you clean the car, or you clean the kitchen, or you clean the whole house. And then once you're done with these 2, 3, 4 things, you're like, you know, that wasn't too bad at all. And now you realize that you've been moving around for a few hours, your body's feeling good, you actually might even have some dopamine and serotonin flowing because you've got a clean room, you know, it's nice, right? You like to have a nice clean room, so that's going to have some positive mental effects on you, and that's what you're going for. And anything that can release dopamine and serotonin is really good. So start with small things. Let's say you've got a bill that you need to pay. You might even have the money, but you're in that state. I get it. When you're depressed, you don't really care. You don't care about anything. It's a don't give a fuck ever, right? Just load up the website for the bill. Don't pay it. Just load up the website. Then later, maybe you can go a couple windows in and pay the bill. Maybe not. Maybe you just go a couple windows in. Then maybe you'll give it some more time and pay the bill later. But just take little itty-bitty steps, and those little itty-bitty steps will start growing into much bigger steps. And then you might find yourself outside running around the block. Now this next one is also so important. You need to start learning new things, creating new neural pathways in your brain. When you learn new things, you literally create physical neural pathways in your brain. And that's very beneficial for depression. One of the reasons it's so beneficial is because once you find something that you're interested in and you like, and you can start learning about it, you'll notice that you haven't been paying attention to those negative thoughts. You know, those thoughts that they're like weeds. Les Brown said, weeds don't need anything to grow. They don't need water, they can grow in cement, they just pop up out of nothing. They suck, right? So once you engage your mind into something, start learning something new, new activities, you will start feeling better, and you will notice that you're not sitting around thinking about those negative thoughts. That for the last 30 minutes you've been completely engaged in this activity. It could be anything. It could be painting. It could be taking up working out, learning about the body. It could be shooting a bow. I recently got a bow, and then I noticed when I was shooting the bow, I was like, wow, I haven't been depressed for like 45 minutes. I haven't even thought about depression. I've just been trying to hit this target. And then I'm learning about other stuff about shooting bows, and that might turn into more learning. The more learning you can do, the more new activities you can put into your life, the better you're going to feel, and the less negative thoughts you're going to have in your mind. Now, when you're creating these new neural pathways in your mind, if you give up within about a week and you don't make it a routine, the neural pathways will then recede and they will go away. You can actually undo all the progress if you don't do it long enough. So don't do something for a day and then give up. But it can be anything. A new hobby, painting miniatures, learning to play Dungeons and Dragons, anything, doesn't matter. Just start learning as much as you can. This next one is super important as well. They're all super important. You need to stop telling yourself stories. If you're like me and many other people, you'll have something come up in your life that sucks, right? And you're telling yourself all these different stories about how it's going to end and what the resolution to this is going to be. And 99.9% of the time, you're usually wrong, right? You usually make up a whole bunch of shit that never happens like that, and you end up saying, wow, it really didn't turn out to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. Stop telling yourself stories. Do the best you can to get things done. If you have something in your life that's bothering you, do your best. Some of these things we have to just sit with. Some things we can't fix right out the gate. But you sitting in the corner telling yourself how this is going to end up if you don't do this, and how you're going to end up doing this, Just stop. Stop telling yourself stories. It's absolutely detrimental to you, and it's getting you absolutely nowhere. Now, here's another one. Someone else's opinion of you does not have to be your reality. This is another one pulled from Les Brown. Les Brown is an amazing motivational speaker. I'm going to have some links in the comments below to different YouTubers and stuff that talk about depression, motivational stuff, and some Les Brown videos. Les Brown is probably, in my opinion, one of the most amazing men on the planet. You heard of Tony Robbins? Yeah, Tony Robbins is nothing. It's all about Les Brown. So, oftentimes we'll have people in our lives that see us being depressed and they think we're maybe losers, or they think we're not trying. They don't understand that you don't feel anything. They don't understand that you don't have any emotions, and how hollowing that can be to have no feeling whatsoever about anything. That you could end up homeless tomorrow and you really wouldn't care if you ended up on the street. You just aren't feeling anything. So that might look like a loser, that might look like somebody else, but you're not a loser. You're a complete winner, and I totally believe in you. So someone else's opinion of you does not have to be your reality, whether that be a spouse that's being negative, maybe a family member that's being negative to you, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's a friend. Again, flip side, those relationships need to go. If you don't have people that are in support of you, that understand what you're going through, and are at least trying to help you with it, you might want to rethink those relationships. Now, that one also leads into the next one. This is so important. You need to start watching and listening to and trying to make friends with successful people. One of my best friends, not one of my best friends, my very best friend is a YouTuber. His name's WASD20 Nate. Again, he's going to be in the comments below. I've known him since the 6th grade. I admire him so much because he's one of those people he's got 3 kids, he's gone to school, he's gone to college, he's got a house, he's got everything. The American dream, in my opinion, right? That's fucking inspiring to me, because I'm constantly trying to, make stuff work. So when I see somebody else that's making it work, and I see how they're doing it, that just inspires me to do better, and I learn from them. They also, when you make friends with them, they'll push you. When you're not doing anything, they'll say, hey, where's that new video at? Why are you not doing this? They'll help give you ideas, they'll talk to you. Then maybe they'll just say, hey, how you doing? You doing okay? Now, if you don't have anybody to talk to, again, in the comments below, there's going to be a thread. One of these guys' names is Evan Carmichael. He's got a YouTube channel about motivation, successful people, and he does what he's called the top 10 rules. And he takes interviews of successful people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Dolph Lundgren. Those are my 3 favorite guys in the world. Really amazing people. And then I've got a whole list of others. But what he does is he breaks down those interviews and he shows you, like, here's their habits, here's what they think, here's how they're being so successful. And that in turn inspires me. So you want to listen to these people, and you want to strive to make friends with those people. Now, you've probably heard the saying, I hate this saying, when life gives you lemons, you need to make lemonade. No, when life gives you lemons, you say fuck lemons and you send them back. Now, this next one is really important, and it's definitely helped me. Do things that you do when you were a little kid. I've noticed with a lot of people, the things that we like the most are some of the things that we did when we were either kids or pre-teens. And somewhere along the line, a lot of us stopped doing those. And if you take those activities up again, you might be surprised that you're like, wow, why did I stop doing this? I really, really enjoy this. Whatever happened to reading comic books? That's one example for me. I started reading comic books again about a year ago. And I was like, I love this. This is so awesome. And I got back into it again, and it helped the depression. We're going to get to that later. Comic books is actually one of these. But camping, that was one of the things I did when I was a little kid as well. Video games, maybe it could be for some people. Try video games again. It might help. But try doing things that you did as a child, and you'd be surprised. You might open up a whole nother world of, like I said, why did I stop doing this? I want to get back into this. And that, again, is learning new things or getting into things when you're just bored and depressed out of your mind. Try it. It really works. So this next one here, I'm going to play a clip for you. And I watch this about once a week. It's probably the most motivational thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's why I watch it so frequently. Just in case I get a copyright strike when I upload this, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the description and in the comments below, so you can see it there. So go ahead and check this out.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself, and this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
That's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm gonna be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this. But you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Okay, that's pretty amazing, right? So basically what he's saying there is you need to take full responsibility for your life. You need to stop pointing fingers and saying you're not where you want to be because of him or her. Most of the time, over 90% of the time, you're in a situation that you're in because of yourself, because of the choices that you had made. So pointing fingers at people, guess what? It does absolutely nothing. It's when people point fingers at people, they almost expect that to do something or make them feel better. But in the end, it causes them not to take any action because they're so stuck on that it's that person's fault that you're in the situation that you're in. No, you need to take full responsibility for the situation that you're in and stop pointing fingers. Now you also need to talk about it. If you're just sitting around not talking about it, it's not helping anybody. One of the guys from my channel in my last depression video, I did make a video previous to this which inspired this video. One guy mentioned that, you know, he kind of feels like this from time to time, but he kind of just ignores it. And I was also saying that, you know, sometimes you're bummed out and that's not really the same thing as depression. Well, I was kind of wrong in that. Being bummed out can lead into depression. And if you're not talking about it, you're not going to help anybody. You're not going to help yourself, and it's very detrimental to you. So you need to talk about it, whether that's going on forums, whether that's going on into YouTube. Maybe you can't talk about it. Maybe you can watch somebody else talk about it. But the best thing that you can do is find somebody to talk to it about. If you don't have anybody to talk to it about, you can go in the description in the comments below and you can come into my Discord. There's a bunch of really great guys in there, inspirational people, other YouTubers. And if you just need to say hi, come in, say hi, get a chat going. You need to talk about it because it kind of helps you see that you're not alone. You're not the only one feeling like this. And you might hear somebody say some things that inspire you or change the way you're thinking about the feelings that you're having. You need to talk about it. You need to realize that everything is only temporary. Life is like a wheel where you could be down at the bottom in the mud and then you start coming up into the light and everything's good and sunny, and then you start going back into the dark, into the mud, and then you go into the light again, and then you start, it just works like that. Sometimes we go through bad times, sometimes we go through good times. When I was younger, I had a six-figure job that I thought was going to last me for the rest of my life. I ended up getting laid off after 6 months. It killed me. I thought that was going to be how it is, right? I'm making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month sometimes, and this is life. This is how it is. No. The people, the jobs, the lives, all these things that are in your life, it's only temporary. Don't get super used to anything. But that also means that the bad feelings that you're having, the negative things that are going through you right now are eventually going to end. And they're going to eventually be good. So don't think that you're just going to be in this situation forever. This is especially important for people that are in high school and are just, you're not having a good time in high school, you're getting made fun of, you're being bullied, you're having all those kind of problems. I was that kid. I was the kid that wore the same clothes almost all the time, never took off my jacket. I didn't have the cool clothes. I was the kid sitting in his chair with his backpack still on, too much gel in his hair, parted his hair. It wasn't good for me. I was the loner kid that didn't always get made fun of, but I often got made fun of. So if you're going in high school, realize that this is eventually going to end. Nothing is ever going to last forever. Taking your life, committing suicide, it's the ultimate worst idea you could ever do. And I see a lot of kids in high school that are committing suicide because of what they're going through, because of the bullying. And it is weak. You're better than that. You don't need to die and kill yourself. Don't do that. Again, if you need somebody to talk to, come into the Discord, talk to us, talk to me. But don't take your life, and realize that eventually this is going to be over. And when you do get out of high school, you'll notice that adults, for the most part, they're not as bad as they were in high school. We kind of chill out somewhere in our 20s or early 20s. We stop making fun of people for the most part. So, please, don't commit suicide or anything, and realize that it's only temporary. This is kind of an odd one, but it works. It's called color therapy. If you're colorblind, I'm sorry. Color therapy, if you look up, you've probably heard over the years that if you see blue, it calms you down. If you see red, or I think it was like yellow, it causes you want to spend money. But colors make you feel better. Colors can reduce anxiety, they can reduce stress, they can have calming effects. One of the ways that I implemented color therapy in my life was getting a fish tank. I don't have it anymore because I moved, and unfortunately it was bad news for the fish. They had to get donated. But I would sit there and I would watch the fish for about 10 minutes. All kinds of different colors of fish. I really like neon tetras and glowfish. And I'd watch them and I'd feel better after about 10 minutes. I'm not kidding. I would test my pulse rate. I used to at one point have a sitting pulse. I'm just saying, I'm sitting here doing nothing, and my pulse was anywhere between 106 and 119 beats a minute. I was very close to a heart attack. I could have died. When I watched the fish for about 10 to 15 minutes, my pulse rate would go down to about 60 to 55 beats a minute, where it should have been at a sitting, doing nothing stance. You can paint. You can get some colors. You can do coloring books. Here's a picture I recently colored last year. I'm going to do some more coloring. Check it out. So yeah, it was fun. I did get relaxed while I was coloring. I liked seeing the colors. It had the same effect that the fish had. Comic books, I've mentioned this now twice. Comic books are great for color therapy. I highly recommend, if you wanted to get into reading something, check out the DC Comics new Rebirth series. It's never been a better time to get into DC Comics. Justice League is a fantastic comic book for people that want to get into them. So many different colors from all the heroes. It's just really very cool, very colorful. So I highly recommend adding color into your life. And when you have a color session, try to make it last about 30 minutes of just you taking in color. It sounds silly, but it works. Now this one's also scientifically proven to work, and I was amazed. About 5 years ago, I got into gardening, and I noticed that after about 10, 20, 30 minutes of sitting in there, playing in the soil, messing around with the plants, I was feeling good. I was like, man, I'm not worrying about the stress. I'm just feeling good. Why is that? There's actually a scientifically proven bacteria in the soil that has the effects of Prozac and antidepressants. It's scientifically proven. You can't argue it. So some people will say, well, I don't have a yard. I don't have a backyard. You can get a pot. You can go buy soil. It's very cheap. You can put that soil in the pot and plant something. You can put it out on your apartment deck. There's lots of plants that you can put in your house. You can put house plants, succulents. You can mess around and play with little tiny potted plants. You can do this almost on next to no budget. Plants are super inexpensive. You can put them anywhere. Low light, high light. There's all kinds of stuff to do. You could do a cactus garden. You can do a succulent garden. If you have any space outside, do it. Get out there. It works so well. And on top of the bacteria that has effects of antidepressants, you're also going to see the fruits of your labor. You're going to plant a seed and see this thing come up. You're going to say, wow, that's super cool, I made that. Maybe you plant some vegetables and you end up getting some squash or some tomatoes. You're going to feel proud of yourself. And, oh, it's like a triple sword here. It's like a triple-edged sword. You also get the feeling of learning new things. Now you're learning about plants. Maybe you're learning about perennials. Maybe you're learning about flowers. Maybe you're learning about vegetables, cacti. Who knows? Get into gardening. It really, really helps. This one's so important. I should have put it lower on the list, but so many of these I had a hard time ordering what order it was going to get into. You need to step out of your comfort zone. Most people sit in a comfort zone that's about this big. But life happens over here. This is where all the amazing stuff happens. So you need to remove yourself from here to over here. And I guarantee you, you'll see all kinds of things open up. Friends, hobbies. You'll feel better. You just need to move out of your comfort zone. And that's part of that change, right? It's part of changing something you do in your daily routine. When you change something in your daily routine, you're often going to have to be forced out of your comfort zone. And it will have all the positive effects in the world. I can't recommend it enough. Realize that maybe you're depressed because something's not working. Maybe your YouTube channel's doing like shit. Maybe your business is doing like shit. Maybe your relationship is shit. Who knows, right? There's all kinds of different reasons why we can be depressed. But you need to realize that if you quit now, you're going to be back to where you started, wishing you were where you are now. Let me say that one more time. If you quit right now, you're going to be back where you started, wishing you were where you are now. Very simple. Someday, you might actually find what you're looking for. And if you don't, you might find something greater. So keep looking. You're never going to be 100% ready. It's never going to be 100% the right time. But that's the point. That also means that any time is the right time. So get started. Now. Don't be the person that says, you know what? Man, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change this. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to get that new hobby like Recluse said. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to relax tonight because I've got everything in order, right? I've got this planned out now. I get it. I see what he's saying. I'm not going to... No. Take that motivation when you feel it. Get started tonight. Get started when this video is over. Promise me, you'll do one thing. And then you'll come in the Discord. Again, in the comments, in the description below, it's a chat room full of great, frickin' awesome people. And you'll say, Recluse, guess what I started doing? That's accountability that I'm holding you up to. But get started. Not tomorrow. Get started today. Tonight. You're never going to change your life unless you change something in your daily routine. I have to mention this again. If you do everything the same that you've been doing yesterday, the day before, guess what you get to look forward to tomorrow? More of the same fucking shit. Change something. One more quote to add on to the daily routine thing. There's a great quote by John C. Maxwell. Success is found in your daily routine. Now, I've talked about this a few times, and I was having a hard time not talking about it because I really wanted to dive into it. Comic books. I know it sounds silly, and some of you might even be like, dude, I'm not even going to listen to you right now. Comic books are fantastic for depression. 1, you get the color therapy. 2, you might get to learn about something new. 3, you get some entertainment that takes your mind off it for a minute, because now you're diving into this story. 4, it's massive amounts of inspiration because you're seeing these people overcome odds that are completely stacked against them, that are not in their favor whatsoever. Now, some of you might not be wanting to check out comic books, but I highly recommend you do, just for the fact that I think people that don't read them and aren't aware of it, they think they're like what they see in the movies, right? You see Superman or you see Spider-Man, and it's just them out fighting the bad guy, punching things, throwing dudes through walls. Yeah, that's part of it, but that's actually the smallest part of comic books. If you have a 30-page comic book, comic book, 3 or 4 pages, if that, will be fighting. Usually it's only 2 or 3 pages. The rest of it is going to be these people dealing with their shitty lives. If you took the time to read maybe the old Man of Steel comics, those are some real good ones. Back from, I think, the early 90s, they did a run on Man of Steel. You can buy them in the... actually, I'll put it in the comments below. You can check it out. A few different volumes. Superman, for example, he makes poor decisions all the time. He's constantly making relationships with people that he shouldn't be. He's hurting people's feelings. He's causing people to love them and then going off and loving somebody else. He's constantly screwing up everything. If you really get into the comic books, he's kind of a fuck-up in my opinion. They all kind of are. They're all getting into relationships and making choices that they shouldn't have. But then at some point, they overcome it. And they fix everything. And that's inspiring. That's super inspiring. At least it was to me. And like I said, you get a whole host of benefits. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about comic books. Again, I'll put some of the more motivational stuff, and I highly recommend the new DC Comics Justice League. It's really good. It's super good. Marvel's great too, but Marvel has been kind of, in my opinion, dropping the ball recently. DC, Justice League, see a team, see people working together. It's good. This next one, I wish I could have put it earlier, but I don't know, it ended up here. Martial arts. Martial arts is one of the best things that you can do for your body, for a variety of reasons. Now, if you don't have a dojo around you, I'm sorry, we'll just have to wait till the next tip comes up. But for those people that live in the city, that maybe even live in a rural area, pretty much every single dojo that you'll find, and it doesn't matter what art it is, it could be Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Krav Maga, whatever, it doesn't matter, maybe even some of the MMA places, which I don't recommend for people right out the gate. Those guys can be a little bit different than, you know, the arts. Anyways, if you go call through your phone book, look online, there's going to be something in your area. And there's 98% chance that they're going to have a free month. Almost everybody will give you a 1 month free. But what that will do is you'll show up to this place that's got people in it that are physically in shape, that are doing amazing things with their life. And you're going to be inspired. But you're also going to be working out and getting so physical. And you're going to be learning something new. And you're going to be making friends. And you're going to be boosting your confidence, because now you're in shape. Now your confidence level and your machismo, or whatever you want to call it, is just bursting through the roof because you have that confidence. You'll notice that maybe when your boss yells at you or somebody yells at you, you might get that shaky knee feeling. You'll notice that melts away. Martial arts is fantastic, and then it spills into your outside life. Outside of there, you start eating better. And it's just got so many different benefits. And again, you can pretty much get this for free. Now, you might be like I was, where I showed up and I was super embarrassed because I was out of shape. At the time, I was smoking weed, which doesn't help, and we'll get into that at the end of the video. I was out of breath. I had to go outside twice and throw up. That was kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, I kind of felt like a badass because I'd worked out so hard that I actually threw up. So don't be ashamed. Don't be that guy that shows up thinking that the people in the Taekwondo or the karate class are going to be looking at you and looking down at you. They're going to be looking at you and going, look at this guy, man. He's trying to help himself and better himself and become more than he is. Or she is. That's fantastic. And that's inspirational. Those people picked me up when I was on the ground. They patted me on the back. Chokes me up. I almost kind of want to fucking tear up. Martial arts is one of the best things that you can do. And that community that you're going to be a part of will help your depression so much. So please, give it a shot. It really works. Now, this next one, I mentioned WASD20 in the a little bit earlier, and said he was in the comments below in the YouTubers. He's a Dungeons & Dragons YouTuber. He talks about all kinds of things about role-playing games. He's my personal best friend. That's why you need to check him out and say Recluse All Night sent you over to his channel. But Dungeons & Dragons, or role-playing games, it doesn't have to be D&D, are a fantastic thing for depression. I've been trying to learn it myself, but my brain's not smart enough. I just have a problem learning how to play it. Running a game is completely different than being a player. There's some resources that, again, that I've put down in the description in the comments below, where you can just go find other people that are saying, hey, I want to play a game, do you want to join me? And you can join those groups. Even if you don't know how to play, it doesn't matter. You can just go join it, and they'll walk you through how to play. But what that creates is, one, it gives you something to do. Instead of sitting around on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, pissing and moaning, you're going to have a group of people that might be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people big. And they're going to all be acting as characters. That's basically what it is. You're just acting and saying what you want to do. And for some people, that causes them to come out of their shell and be a little bit more talkative and whatnot. But it also gives you a reason, maybe not to kill yourself, I don't know. But it keeps you going, and it gives you those friends. It gives you a group to be a part of. It gives you something to look forward to coming up this weekend. But I have heard time and time again that D&D can, or role-playing games, can substantially help your depression. Look it up. Just Google D&D and depression. And if you have any interest in it, check out my best friend, WASD20, in the comments below. He'll teach you how to play everything. He'll teach you how to get started, and go find some groups. You can even come in and say that you want to play with me, but I'm still trying to figure this out. It's so hard. Now, you need to realize that you're not alone. That there's tons of people in this world that are unhappy. There's tons of people in this world that are depressed. When I started researching depression, I was actually amazed to see how many people were depressed and hurting. I actually believe this number to be well over 50% of the population of the world. You know, mostly this is going to be places that are large, big cities. There's a lot of happy people actually in third world countries that are just getting by, making ends meet, working on their farms. But for most part, a lot of us are just miserable. And I was amazed and saddened at the same time to see how many people in the world are hurting. You're not alone whatsoever. We're all taking this journey together. And when you realize that, you start feeling a little bit better. You might even want to start helping some of these people pull out of it. So realize that you're not alone, and that you're not alone. Now this will help you feel better about yourself as well, and it will give you that confidence and maybe even self-esteem. You need to start giving back more than you're taking in every department. Do you live at home with your parents? Maybe you could start doing a little bit more around the house. Maybe cleaning up some stuff around outside. You'll feel better about getting that done, getting those things helped out around the house. Maybe there's an old lady across the street that could use some extra yard work. Maybe just knock on her door and say, hey, I'm just giving out some free time. Do you need any help around the yard or anything like that? I just want to help you out. You'll go and do that, and you'll notice, wow, I feel a lot better. If you don't have the old lady across the street, or maybe you don't live at home and you can't help out there, there are homeless shelters that you can go to and donate time. It doesn't matter if you only have 30 minutes. There's one of the greatest places, old folks' homes. Retirement homes are in every single city, everywhere. And you can just show up, say, I want to donate some time. You can help out around there. And one of the best things you can do is just talk to these people. They're so sad. They're in one of the worst places of their life. They've been dumped in this place. Their kids probably don't even come to see them. They would love to talk to somebody new besides the people that they're talking to every day. You could really change somebody's life and make them feel a little bit better just by showing up and saying, hi, how are you doing? Some of you guys are into VR. You could bring your VR system over there. Well, I don't know about that. That's kind of pushing it. You might want to watch the liabilities. But you get what I'm saying. Go and donate some of your time, and you will feel a little bit better. And it will also get you moving and get you out of the house. And I'm pretty convinced it releases dopamine and serotonin as well. Those feel-good things in your brain. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier that I touched on was that I stopped smoking weed. And for a while, I was one of those guys that I got really depressed. I discovered about 10, 15 years ago weed, and I had some, and I was like, man, I do feel good. So I will say, 100%, it will help you feel better if you are depressed. Now, that being said, if you start using it every day, it's going to stop helping you in those ways. Because now you're using it as a band-aid. Now you're using it to cover up problems that you don't want to fix. So there was almost an argument I got in with somebody on Reddit. He was like, no, weed definitely helps. It does. It definitely does. But it stops helping when you're just trying to cover up the problems that you're not fixing. So realize that smoking weed is definitely, it's a no-win situation. Almost nobody can smoke it just a little bit, like, oh, I'm kind of bummed out today, I'm just going to have some weed and feel better. It usually just doesn't work like that whatsoever. So, and that applies to all drugs. I highly recommend you don't get into any harder drugs whatsoever. That's going to ruin your life. But please, don't do it. The same thing with alcohol. There's so many people. I have people close to me that I know that they try to fix their problems with alcohol, and they'll say, oh, I do feel better now. Well, you don't feel better. You're just drunk. You're just inebriated now, and yeah, you're thinking you feel better. But alcohol is a depressant, It's not an upper, it's a downer. No matter what, it's going to be taking you down. You're not feeling better, it's not fixing the problem. Nobody ever says, you know what, I have this problem in life, and I started drinking, and you know what? I started seeing different parts of my life get better. I was starting to make more friends because I was drinking. I got a better job because I was drinking. And, you know, it's just been really positive for me, all that extra tequila and hooch. Doesn't work that way, dude. And you're telling yourself stories again if you think it does. So, if you can, stop drinking, stop the drugs, and start implementing the best you that you can. If you remember when I said right out the gate, you got to start working out, you got to start being fit, and you can't quit. This isn't something that you can do for just 30 days, 60, 90 days. This has to be for the rest of your life, and you'll start feeling better. Start taking care of your body. Start making sure that you are a temple, okay? If you have any questions whatsoever, I've talked for 40 minutes on this. Like I said, I wanted to make this a short video. I wanted to break it into like 4 different videos. But for the people that are really hurting, no. I wanted to give it to them all in one go. Because some of those people might commit suicide. Some of those people are going on YouTube trying to find that last hope. And literally, there's enough people in the world and enough suicide. I know some of them are going, you know what? I didn't find anything. I'm going to go jump off the bridge tonight. So my concept with this video, instead of breaking it up to get more views and stretch it along, was no, just do one big video. This is literally everything that helped me pull out of my state. Now, some people are in different points of depression. I do want to tell you, because if you're interested and you're still watching, you're probably taking some real good information and hearing what I'm saying. I want you to know what kind of depression that I was in. And I wanted to say this in the end because some people write out, I don't know, I just wanted to say this in the end instead of the beginning. I was completely emotionless for the last about a year. I had some stuff in my life that happened, and then some other stuff happened, and it was just this, it was bad. It was bad. And it caused me to lead down to a path. Now, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that these events combined together were enough that it took me down. Just like Sylvester Stallone, if you let life do it, it'll beat you to your fucking knees, and it will keep you there. And unless you fight your ass up. I was oversleeping. I was sleeping for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I was having problems getting out of bed. When I did get out of bed, I didn't have any energy. I wasn't eating food, so I couldn't get the motivation to do the things that I wanted. The worst part of it was the absolute hollowing feeling of having no emotion. And that scared me because I don't want to take the people down. I live at home right now. I had been trying to start some things, and thanks to my parents, I've been able to stay here and do side businesses to make money and to start these dreams that I want to do. I don't want to take them down. And I was getting to a point where I was feeling like I could start taking people down. I might lose my car next month. Stuff like that. But I didn't care. And that's when I knew I had a problem. And it wasn't the sense that I didn't care. I'm like, oh, I don't care. I don't care about them. It wasn't like that. It was just I didn't have any feeling. It was completely emotionless. Nothing was interesting. I'm a huge fan of movies. I love movies so much. In the future, I was thinking about watching movies and recording it. Just my audio. We're just going to talk about the movies I love and we can watch a movie together. But nothing was entertaining to me. None of the movies were entertaining. I used to be into virtual reality. That was actually causing some depression. The games were depressing me. None of the games were fun. Nothing was interesting anymore. And that was just terrible. So, again, physical activity, I think, is the one thing that you can do to inspire you to get back into that movement of finding interest. Physical activity before anything else. Before any of these things. Physical activity and diet. Before anything. Now, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will do my best to respond to all of those. Right now, I've got a small enough channel that I respond to every single comment. If you need somebody to talk to, come into the Discord. If you don't know what a Discord is, it's a chat room. Like I said, full of amazing people. You can come in, just say hi. Say how you doing. You can message me directly if you want. I highly recommend you just say hi. Start talking to people. And I've also got some links below that are, about the Evan Carmichael, WASD 20, motivational stuff. Comic books you might find motivational. One last thing I want to talk about is, if this doesn't help you, if you implement these things into your life and you are still miserable and you are still depressed, and maybe even worse, I'm going to tell you a story. There was a guy, for a while I was going on to r/Reddit, r/Reddit, r/depression in Reddit. And I was trying to help other people that were depressed. And that was one of the places I learned about, wow, there's a lot of people hurting. And some of these people are hurting even more than I am. So maybe I can help them. Maybe I can, cheer them along and tell them that they're worth it. And tell them not to commit suicide. And here's some things that you can do to help. This one guy had said, and it was almost a creepy post. It was very long. It was like a page long, no spaces, just one run-on sentence. So you can see the guy was troubled. And he was talking about this entity, this man, that was showing up over his shoulder and telling him bad things. This entity didn't exist. This was a figment of his imagination, and that's what he was telling us. If you're at that level, you need some professional help. You need to seek out a psychiatrist and probably even medication. If you implement this into your life and you feel like you're up on this guy's level, you need to go get some help. Now, why I'm sharing this with you is because you need to accept that you need to make change. Again, we already talked about this. Why I'm talking about this guy is he said that he needed some help. He said he didn't know what to do. He's ready to commit suicide, and he doesn't know what to do, and he needs help. So he's going on the Reddit for one last time. You'll hear that a lot on Reddit. I'm going on here before I kill myself, and maybe you can help me. I spent 30 to 45 minutes of my own time talking to the guy. Not just talking to him, but researching what he could do to get help. Now, obviously, at that point, like I said, none of the little things are going to help this dude. He's actually seeing things that aren't there. That's bad shit. That's not good. If you're there, that's bad. You don't want to be of harm to yourself and other people. That's where this stuff is leading. So I found 5 different resources that he could use to get help. One of his problems was that he said he doesn't have any money to pay for any of this stuff. It's no problem. I showed him, I was like, here's 3 phone numbers you can call. 2 of these phone numbers you can call right now, 24 hours a day. Somebody's going to talk you out of suicide. Somebody's just going to be there to talk to you about these problems. The third phone number, was a phone number that, and I'll put these in the description and comments below, was a number that he could call that would help line him up with free resources to get free psychiatric help, free medication, all that good stuff. So he's got 2 people he can talk to right now over the phone, and another phone number that he can get for free. And then the other 2 links, you know what, I can't remember what those 2 links were. I think it was something to do with, I'll have to look up the post and post them in there. But anyways, I had 5 different resources for him. And he said, you know what, thanks for taking the time to talk to me, but I can't talk to people. I'm an introvert, and I feel weird in social situations. That's terrible. He is ultimately ruining his life, and he's never going to ever get out of this unless he can change. So here he is, asking for help, reaching out to people, writing a whole page with no spaces, saying he needs help, saying he has no money. Couple people come in, saying he needs help. I come in, give him 5 different resources that he can use right now, and he won't do it. Don't be that guy. If you have a social problem, that's fine. Realize these people are on the phone. They're never going to meet you in real life. They're never going to see you. You never have to see them again after you hang up the phone. You have no excuse. Don't be your own worst enemy. Don't be that guy. That guy, it's not going to be good for him, so don't be him. I want to thank you guys for taking the time watching all this. This is one of my longest videos of just talking. I think it actually might even be my longest video I've ever made where I just talk. I made this video in response to Tony. Tony, maybe you're watching. I'm sure you're probably watching this Tony story. There was another guy, Andy Sledge, and a couple other homies that I can't remember that said that they were hurting. I hope this helps you. And again, if you need somebody to talk to, I'll always be here for you.